Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Ming Chen. I'm here at the 19th Annual Garden State Film Festival here at the Shared Universe Podcast Lounge inside the Berkeley Oceanfront Hotel. We're kicking off Friday of the film festival with a topic that's very near and dear to my heart. I have filmmaker Dave Baram here, who has a documentary called One All the Way, and I don't even know where to start. I am not a New Jersey native. I've been here for almost 20 years, Dave. And one of the first things I heard when I moved here was like, I like to eat. Anyone who knows me, I like to eat. If you check my Instagram account,
absolutely.
Food photos,
Seen it all
the way. And someone mentioned to me, it was like, hey, I heard you like hot dogs. I'm like, yeah. I was like, the best hot dogs are in New Jersey. I'm like, no, that's not true. New York, Michigan, California, maybe. They're like, no. You don't understand. And I was like, how come I never heard of this before? And they're like, I'm going to give you a list, and you're going to have to try these out, and you will change your mind. And they were right. And not only that, it became a very emotional experience. It became a family bonding experience. It became a friendship bonding experience. And I am so happy that somebody gets me, because when I say these things, nobody understands, but you are focused on something that's just very near and dear to my heart, which is not only the New Jersey hot dog, but the Texas Weiner in particular. Would you explain to anybody who's never had a Texas Weiner what a Texas Weiner is?
Yeah, well, you mentioned New Jersey and hot dogs. You're right. It's a cultural experience. Yeah. But even within that, there is this thing, as you mentioned, called the Hot Texas Weiner, where even most people in New Jersey outside of the Paterson area are not familiar with, which is actually what motivated us to do this documentary. But a Hot Texas Weiner is a specially prepared lamb-encased beef hot dog. It's lamb encased because it has to be able to withstand very heavy deep frying. Otherwise, a normal hot dog would completely disintegrate.
Right.
And then that's on a specially prepared steamed bun with raw onions, a very hot mustard, and then what really makes it a Hot Texas Weiner on top of the deep frying is a secret sauce beanless chili that is sort of a mixture between kind of a Greek spaghetti sauce and a Texas
magic
chili.
And chili, and it's magical.
Yeah,
it's undescribable.
You can down like 5, sounds heavy, it's super light.
I mean, I don't know about super, but you can eat multiple.
You can eat more than multiple, yeah, definitely.
I want to tell you my story, my first Texas Weiner story, and then I'll have you tell yours for sure. Before I married my wife, we went somewhere up north with her parents, and my wife grew up in the area. We went to go see, it was a drum corps show, I think, up north in Bergen County, near there. And they're like, we're going to stop for dinner. We're going to this place called the Hot Grill.
Right.
I'm like, what is this? They're like, it's hot dogs. I'm like, okay, hot dogs, mustard, relish, whatever. And I got in there, and the beautiful smells, the wood paneling, it's very old school in there, and the long lines are what hits you first. And just happy people downing multiple Texas Wieners. And I didn't, usually I was like, hot dogs, like, okay, I guess he's like, how many do you want? I was like, well, I guess 2. I guess I'll get 2. Yeah, I don't know how big these are. And the order came out, and they were, he misordered. There were 4 on the plate. And he's like, well, you don't have to eat them all, Ming. And I was like, well, we'll see. And I had 1. It was like biting into magic. Had 2. I ended up eating all 4 of them. And I think that impressed my future father-in-law that I ate 4 Hot Grill Texas Wieners. I think
hopefully all the way.
Oh yeah. No, I want onions. Yeah, everything. I love flavor. I love variety. I love everything. And I think that really did become kind of a bonding moment. So we went many times after. My now, and we got married. So we've been married for almost 20 years now. So it could have been the Texas Weiner that cemented that relationship. Her grandmother lived in the area, so we ended up taking her until she passed away. But it just, and then I got to take my kids later on. I had one particular Father's Day where that was my request. We gotta take the 45-minute drive up to Clifton, New Jersey, and go to the Hot Grill.
That's awesome.
Do you remember your first experience with the Texas Weiner?
Well, first of all, the Hot Grill features prominently in the film,
Yeah,
right?
that makes me so happy.
Yeah, and you know, I had the honor of, sadly not on tape, but interviewing the founder of the Hot Grill, who was, I think, around 98 years old before we started shooting. And that ties into my first, because he was the first employee. The Hot Grill was started by 4 gentlemen who left another place that most folks who are familiar with the Hot Texas Weiner know, called the Fallsview, which is no longer there.
Which is also featured in the documentary.
Which is also featured and was probably the mecca at that and Libby's at one point, because almost all the grills came from either employees or folks that worked at either Libby's or the Fallsview. And my dad was a huge fan of the Hot Grill, and which also, as you know, features in the film. And so he took me there. Not the Hot Grill, I'm sorry, Fallsview. Yeah. And so I had, you know, from literally infancy, you know, our entire family. I mean, it was probably a form of, you know, I'm not sure it was the healthiest path he started on, but I spent my entire childhood going to Fallsview, you know, before it closed down. And that's why it's so exciting to know that you're into it, because really what struck me was, as a kid, I never really left the area much. My first leaving was going to college up in Boston. And that was the first time that I realized people didn't know what this thing was that I grew up on, Hot Texas Weiner, right? So it's like, you never had a Hot Texas Weiner. Or, you know, I'd meet kids from Texas in college, like, you know, there's some connection between. So that was probably a big revelation to me, that even going down to the Jersey Shore in South Jersey, like Wildwood, and you know, they had their Philly micro delicacies, but nobody really knew what a Hot Texas Weiner was. So it's so cultural, to your point earlier, that it just really centers upon this very small area in North Jersey. Yeah, for sure. I usually ask people, like, hey, what was your inspiration for this film? But your father features very prominently in the documentary. I mean, he's the first guy on screen. And not only that, from second one, I fell in love with the guy, Harry, correct? That's awesome.
His
Yeah, Harry, exactly.
Yeah, and you know, he basically says, listen, when I pass on, I want to be holding a Hot Texas Weiner in my hand. And not only that, I want a Hot Texas Weiner, you know, basically a buffet for everyone to enjoy. I'm like, that's how I want to go.
We have debates with my mom whether she's going to actually allow that, but he's very serious about that.
Oh, yeah.
He wants at a minimum, Hot Texas Weiner served at his funeral.
Oh, yeah, for sure, which is great. And then, you know, you feature 2 of his friends as well, as Ron and Larry. Is that correct? Okay, yeah.
Who will be here at the festival, which is awesome.
Oh, really? I'll get to meet him?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man. Okay, I think, I know what I'm doing.
What really the inspiration started with being shocked that no one knew about it, right? And then when I moved to LA, I'm bi-coastal. I spent a ton of time in Jersey. Still spend the summers at the Jersey Shore. But right when I was leaving for Jersey, I'm dating myself now. This was like in around 1990 or so. There was an article in New Jersey Monthly. This is before everything was online. I don't think you can find it online even. And the title of the article was "The History of the Hot Texas Weiner," and it was written by a guy named Robert Gamer, who we were psyched that we were able to track him down, and he's in the documentary as well. But it really touched upon the history of the Hot Texas Weiner going back to the early 1900s. And I've had that article that I stumble upon in my files every 5 years or so. And I thought, geez, I got to eventually do something with this. And then our firm, our company was involved with producing The Irishman, Martin Scorsese's film, right? Part of which was shot in Paterson, and we'd have all these guys coming back saying, "Geez, we went to this place called Libby's. This hot." So I kept getting all of these touch points, and then, as you mentioned, a few years ago, my dad and his 2 buddies, Ron and Larry, started going on these hot dog crawls, all exactly like you talked about, hot dogs in New Jersey. And I said, "Hey, next time you go on a Hot Texas Weiner crawl, not just hot dogs in general, but the Hot Texas Weiner crawl, we want to follow you." And that was really the inspiration of why we started this.
That's amazing. You were able to document, I feel, pretty much perfectly. And, you know, you'll be able to pull that up in 20, 30 years and, you know, kind of have that snapshot. And at the forefront, you're like, all right, you're following a bunch of guys going on a hot dog crawl, 4 or 5 different places in a day. You don't think that's going to get as emotional as it does, and you really hit some really emotional points, which I get emotional over hot dogs too. Going to places like the Hot Grill, going to places like the Goffle Grill, or what people always ask me is like, hey, you're in Clifton, you can only pick one place, either the Hot Grill or Rutt's Hut, which are
it's not an official Hot Texas Weiner. Everybody
I know, yeah. Rutt's Hut does, Rutt's Hut does a deep fried wiener called the Ripper. They deep fry it so much
on top, right?
With their super secret relish, which I have not been able to replicate, and I'm not even gonna bother trying. I'll just go up there. People are like, well, which one do you choose? I'm like, why do I have to choose? I go to both. I always go to both. I have maybe 2 at one place, 2 at the other, and then I'll take some back with me.
Well, your Rutt's Hut is more famous, right?
Yeah.
So it appears on the country's best hot dog joints. And I can't tell you, one of the fun things about having done this film is how many people have contacted us, usually through the website or Instagram or Facebook.
Do they get mad that you didn't?
Well, they usually, first of all, literally 99%, it's like so much nostalgia.
Sure.
Which I want to come back to in a second because it touches upon that other point you made. But a lot of people are like, well, you forgot Rutt's Hut or you forgot this. And I have to very nicely say, this is strictly about the Hot Texas Wiener, not hot dog. So the Rutt's Hut, which is awesome. I love Rutt's Hut. But it is not really Hot Texas Wiener because it doesn't have the Hot Texas Wiener chili sauce but the most of the messages are, I should share them online because it's people who've left Jersey usually and now they live in Colorado. I got an amazing one from Georgia this morning from a gentleman who worked at Johnny and Hangie's and his uncle was Johnny from Johnny and Hangie's and was just reminiscing about all these incredible stories. But to your other point about the emotional component, one of the things that I think 2 things. One, it really became about Harry and Larry and Ron's journey as much as it was about the hot dogs, and it is about the hot dog. But I think from the filmmaker perspective, the hot dog in a way was a bit of a proxy. I don't want to say excuse, but a proxy to tell, because you can't tell the Hot Texas Weiner story without telling the story of Paterson.
Oh yeah, it's such a great story,
and it's such a story that here you have. What literally, not one of, was the most important industrial city in the U.S., right? That myself, growing up, born there, didn't know the story behind it. And so wanted to both share that story, which then, of course, touches upon issues of aging and immigration and quite frankly, some tough issues like poverty and
economic decline.
Yes, exactly.
Things like that.
And so that was, that was, I'm so psyched that you kind of gave us the opportunity to talk about it, because one of the things I always wanted to make sure was, and what I try to get people to realize who haven't seen it and then they see it, it's more than just about the hot dog. And sometimes people aren't entirely prepared for that. And so,
I wasn't. I was like, whoa, okay, this is a story about the rise and fall and the comeback of Paterson, New Jersey.
Right, exactly. I'm glad you got the comeback part, because I also wanted to make sure there was an element of hope in the end.
Oh yeah, no, there definitely is, and I thank you for the history lesson too. I've been to the falls. I've gone over the bridge. It should be like the 9th wonder of the world, or it should be on that list of wonders for sure. But I had no idea that that sparked such industrial and production. And it was a center or production at one point.
And you can't, obviously, in a 25-minute short or whatever it is, you can't tell that's a much larger documentary. But I always point out to people, it's just, when I say it's literally when Alexander Hamilton and his group of co-founders who were pushing the country in more of an industrial direction than an agrarian direction, just like they picked Washington, D.C. to be the capital. They literally searched and picked Paterson, New Jersey to be the industrial center, which is because, to your point, they were going to harness what were the largest falls south of Niagara Falls, which is crazy to even now to think that here they are in the middle of Paterson, and to your point, harness that energy and build the industry, which unfortunately is all left now. Yeah, and
in a way that sparked the Texas Weiner phenomenon, because all the workers needed something quick and easy and cheap to eat, and that inspired or created the rise of the Texas Wiener. So it's crazy how that kind of goes full circle.
No, exactly. Which is, it was a gentleman, John Petrellis, who had a hot dog stand in the Paterson Hotel in around 1910. And I wanted to do this as you know, or you may remember in the documentary, we show the family tree of all the grills.
I love that family tree. It started with the original and split off to Libby's and another one, and then
it shows how they've, which have gone away. But originally in the film, we were going to tell the story of each one of those, and then realized, well, okay, that's probably too long. So but the reality is that this guy John Petrellis, who was a Greek immigrant, it's exactly what you said. Created a stand that was going to serve literally from breakfast, lunch, dinner, late shift, all these factory workers. And then what I'd love to do at another time is you can track literally the Hot Grill. It went from John Petrellis to a guy that worked for him, opened Libby's, which was famous. And one of the guys who opened Libby's name is Betts, who's one of the brother of one of the guys who was in the interview. He's 97 years old, I think. And thank God he's still alive and vibrant, and we tracked him down and interviewed him. And then almost every grill of significance, including the Hot Grill, all were either relatives or employees of the two Greek and Italian families that started the original.
Always in the
grills.
family,
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
That's fantastic. The other question I had, so you shot a lot of footage in the Hot Grill.
Yeah.
And the Hot Grill it's been around for a long time. It's very, very unique. There's only one of them. They're also very protective. And I'll tell you a real quick story. I was in there, I was eating hot dogs, and I had a blog. So I was documenting everything. I had a little digital camera with me. There's this pre-iPhone. And I'm going around and taking photos for my blog. And one of the employees, might have been the owner, came up. He was like, "You think about starting your own hot dog stand?" I'm like, "What?" He was like, "Why are you taking so many pictures?" I'm like, I'm trying to explain to him what a blog is. He's not getting it. He thinks I'm trying to steal the secret chili recipe. And I'm like, no, sir. I would never, ever tread on your domain. I know, that would get me, killed instantly. And not only that, why would he even try to replicate perfection? But these are closely guarded secrets, so much so that... And I think I was just taking a picture of the sign. They have a mirror with the...
Yeah, I know the exact mirror. We got that. Yeah, exactly.
But so I was like, whoa, how did you get so much access? I think you just befriended, or was it a history?
What's so funny about that? You just touched upon exactly what we experienced. I mentioned a gentleman by the name of Carmen La Mandola, who was the first employee of the Falls View Grill, and then was one of the founders with Dominic Sportelli, who's also in the film, and then two gentlemen who have since passed, of the Hot Grill. And so we tried contacting the Hot Grill, and we're fortunate to learn that at 98 years old, Carmen was still alive at that point. And I'm like, oh my God, we got to talk. We got to, this is the history, right? And I had since learned he was also a bit of the godfather of the industry in terms of all the other grills looked up to him. And we couldn't get anybody to talk to us because they thought one of two things. Exactly what you said. One, everybody's so paranoid and protective of the recipe. And two, no one wanted to get into this, which has the best hot dog ranking competitive thing. And that was something we found across multiple of the grills.
Sure.
And I think folks may have tried to do that before. Maybe a few people participated and felt burnt. So it took a lot of work on our part to sit down with everybody, explain that this was going to be a show everybody in a really positive light.
Sure. It's a love letter.
Yeah.
It's definitely a love letter to what you guys have made in the whole.
The biggest mistake I made though was not having a camera at that first interview because he was an incredible character, and then by the time we got to filming, sadly, he had passed. But his daughters, who now run the grill, who are amazing, Christina and Maria, are in the film.
They were great. I want to meet them. I would.
Yeah,
love
they're
to,
incredible.
I would love to meet them for sure. And and what you've documented, what your father and his friends have done is something I've always wanted to do, which is hit 4, 5, 6 places in one day. My family will go to maybe 2 and kind of cut out. So I need to make.
You need to meet them. They seriously would probably be thrilled to take you on one of those crawls and have you document it.
Oh yeah, I know I could put down. I could do one at 5 different places.
That's
for sure.
Harry and Larry. Ron's a little more measured, but the other two guys can put them all down.
I noticed you got their personalities down pretty good. So I'm trying to list all the places you went to. There's the Goffle Grill, which is that Paterson technically?
It's technically in Hawthorne.
Hawthorne, that's right. Okay.
Also comes from a family that was at Falls View originally.
Yeah.
And great place. That's where actually once the Falls View shut down because that was one of the places closest to my home, where I ended up spending a lot of time. A great surprise, actually, was the new corral, which is in Paterson, right by where my grandmother has passed, but where I used to travel a million times, but I just never went to. It was fabulous. And the two owners of that were owners of some other grills, the Getty Grill and some other places that we reference in there. We went to Johnny and Hangie's.
Yeah.
The new Johnny and Hangie's.
Yeah, I know. I remember. I think they moved, right? Yeah.
Right. I think we also went to
the Golf Grill, Hot
Grill. Oh, Riverview East.
Which
is right on the Paterson. I think that's technically Paterson there, right on the Passaic River, and wanted to do more, but we were fortunate that we shot this in January of last year, right before COVID.
Okay, yeah, I was wondering when. How long did this? I mean. How long did this take you from conception to completion?
We did. This was a fast shoot. We shot the whole thing in 3 days.
Wow.
And we were going to come back and do a few more, and then COVID hit, which is why there are other places we would have loved to. We include on the family tree, but couldn't include in there. The planning was longer. It was quite a bit of research, to be honest with you. And for anybody super interested in it, there's a whole section, believe it or not, online in the Library of Congress about the Hot Texas Weiner, and they have audio interviews of some of these people that I'm talking about going back to the 1930s and 1940s is incredible. The editing, like any film, most of the work was in post, and that probably took me about
way longer than 3 days. To shoot it,
yeah. So
which is crazy.
We got all it's a 24-minute film, I think, and we probably shot about 30 hours of footage.
Wow. Okay. So you really cut that down.
Yeah.
But I think you hit a lot of points. You hit the city of Paterson. You go to the Historical Society and interview the gentleman running that.
Yes, exactly. Which was he. Geez, I'm drawing a blank on his name at the moment, but he was awesome because he'd come from Egypt.
Yes.
And I thought it was just like. The people get down a little bit on Paterson now, and it's very easy to look back and say, "Geez, what happened?" And it's a topic that absolutely should be discussed because it's shameful what's happened to the lack of resources.
Sure.
But at the same time, there's a whole new generation of immigrants, coming in there that are bringing life to the city, and so having him from Egypt bring that perspective, and he was so. I hope it comes across in the film, but he was so passionate. About the city.
I was like, you don't run that place unless you're passionate about it.
He was just, he was really inspiring for us to include in the documentary.
That's amazing. And the Texas Weiner definitely ties into the fabric of Paterson, New Jersey.
And to your point, the falls.
And the falls.
And that museum is literally right across the street from where Falls View was.
Yes.
So, it was Libby's, Falls View, and the Olympic, which is on our family, which were the three original grills, all surrounding the falls, servicing all those factories. And sadly, the other thing I'm happy and sad about is we shot in Libby's in January, and then obviously it's since closed since then. So none of those grills are open anymore.
Yeah, I don't think I'm trying to remember. I think I might have gone there once with my grandmother-in-law.
Well, as old school as the experience you had at the Hot Grill, put yourself back another 50 years. That's what Libby was like. You really felt like you stepped back in the 1930s. It was pretty cool.
That's amazing. And so the crawl that you documented was crawl number 8. If I remember correctly, that have there been more since, or I think COVID's kind of made it really tough.
I think I keep asking, but since they're especially my dad's age and the other guys, none of them are spring chickens. I think they've been very careful during COVID, and Harry. Truthfully, what I left out of the documentary is Harry. We kind of almost lost him. He's got multiple myeloma, which is a serious, more rare blood cancer, right? And so, as I always joke around saying, probably not what he shouldn't be doing is run around eating a lot of hot dogs in his state, but because of that, he's got immune issues. So they put it on hold. But I know I actually think because of COVID, they're all now fully vaccinated. This festival is going to be the first time they've gotten together
in person
since we shot.
Wow!
Since we shot it a year ago.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so pretty wild.
Wow, that's amazing. So, do you have a favorite, or do you? Or I almost kind of pose like, all right, you have one day, you get to hit 3 places. Which 3 are you going to? And it doesn't have to be limited to the ones that you documented.
I'm going to alienate too many people. It's to be. I honestly mean it. They're all. And if you're an expert, like sounds you are, there are nuances, difference. The
Oh, yeah.
sauce is a little different. There's about 3 different companies that actually manufacture that special
Sure,
hot dog.
there's Thumann's, there's Best, there's
Exactly.
there's all kinds of.
And so they're a little different.
Yeah.
I prefer the Thumann's the best. But if I would have to say my favorite is my favorites. Like if I'm going to go to the Hot Grill.
Yep.
I'm going to go to Goffle Grill.
Yes.
And I'm there's there's it used to be called the Campus Grill. There's another one in my town in North Halden. And I'm going to probably add the new Corral to the list because I really liked it. And then probably Riverview East as well.
Yeah, both those are. I haven't been to both of those, but the new Corral I'm definitely adding to the list. I'll take a trip up north.
Well, not to try it because I did an interview with I think it's coming out this weekend with the Newark Star Ledger about this, and the writer is like the food writer, and he did his own ranking.
Yeah.
I guess he did a story on it, and he had New Corral's #1. So I was like, wow. So okay, we gotta give it more, deserves more respect than it's been getting.
Right. Well, now we got expectations.
Yes,
now it's got to
exactly.
live up to the expectations
Exactly.
For sure. What is the state of the Texas Weiner right now in 2021 on your family trip? So a lot of the old school places have closed, which was a shame. I thought you documented the Falls View so great that I was like, oh great, I want to go there, and sadly it's not there anymore. But are there? I mean I see because I keep up online. There's multiple. There's one pretty big Facebook hot dog group, Jersey hot dog group that I belong to. And
What's the name of it?
I think it's called Hot Dog Nation.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah. I just came across that.
I'm sure if I mention the name, say John Fox, like that's he's like the godfather of just hot dogs. I
got to start following them.
Yeah, and but are there? Every time I see maybe a new place will open up, maybe not now, but in the past.
Yeah, it's sad as touched upon in the film. They're declining in numbers.
Yeah.
There's no way around that. And I think in some ways, Libby's was the holdout. It was one of the originals, and so when that closed this past year, that was a bit heartbreaking. But at the same time, you look at grills like the Hot Grill is a perfect example. And I think Goffle Grill as well, where the children of the founders have kind of taken over and injected, new energy.
Yeah.
Actually, if you go to the Hot Grill now, it's because as you know, most of these places cash only.
Yep.
The menus are written on like little paper plates.
Right. Yeah. Or it's the ones where you slide the letters, the vinyl letters on there.
In the 1950s.
Yeah, those signs, they were white at some point. Now they're very yellowed, and it's so great.
Right. But the Hot Grill, with this kind of, this new energy that they have with Christina and Maria and Dominic still being there and so forth, is now they take credit cards. Now they have the more modern sign in the back. In some ways, you might say, it's a bit of a loss of the past, but on the other hand, there's clearly lines there all the time. Yep. It's doing really well. So I think you have these younger generations carrying the torch going forward. And I'm not aware of any new just Hot Texas Weiner focus places opening recently. Although, funny enough, there's living in LA, like I mentioned, there's a hot dog place, and their theme is they take hot dogs from all over the country. Okay. And somebody just told me they just introduced a Hot Texas Weiner. So as soon as I get back, I'm trying that.
An LA version of the Jersey Texas Weiner.
I know it's probably
in LA, beggars can't be choosers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll get back to that.
They got Pinks out there, so.
Well, I was going to ask you about that. Pinks overrated?
Yeah.
Okay. I love Pinks, and people are like, you're nuts. Pinks is overrated. I'm like, listen, it's more of an emotional experience. I had cousins who lived out there. One night, I was staying with them. My older, cooler cousin Doug roused me from my sleep. He was like, "Hey, I'm taking you somewhere." I'm like, and I was like, "It's like 12:30 at night." He's like, "Oh yeah, they're still going strong."
On La Brea, right?
Yeah, we drove all the way from the Inland Empire out to La Brea, waited in line at Pink's, got the massive
awesome
chili dogs. And that cemented is like, okay, every time I come back to LA, I will wait an hour.
You know why I say it's a little overrated is because they license their. I don't know what the structure is, but now there's Pinks at a bunch of different places.
Sure, there's Pinks at Las Vegas.
Right, and it hasn't. It's not as good as the original Pinks, in my opinion.
Sure.
Also, for me,
you're right.
The other reason I love the Hot Texas Weiner, the sauce is great. Don't get me wrong, but I love the Ripper, the deep fried hot dog. And so that's, to me, that sets it apart from just the traditional grilled or boiled hot dog, which I don't like as much personally.
No, I'm like, what? Once you have a deep fried hot dog, like, why would you go to a dirty? I mean, I love the dirty water dogs if that's her specialty.
Right,
but given a choice, put that in oil, fry it until it rips apart. Put some chili. Put some mustard on it, put onions, and that magical sauce.
Well, the film, as it's building some, for fortunate that other festivals around the country are picking up, but I can't tell you how many times. Is it really deep fried?
Oh yeah,
that's what people write to me.
It's like one of the first shots in the film, but you see that you hear. I don't know if you got that mic like right in the deep fat fryer, but you can almost hear that lambskin. Like
right, cracking open. Yeah. No, it's pretty wild.
Yeah. It's amazing, and I do want to thank you. You explained the Hot Grill shorthand ordering system. Now, if you go to the Hot Grill, you could order, you could have a 50 variation order and they remember it all. They don't write it down and they yell it to the back, and it's kind of this weird shorthand, like, 3 all the way, 3 Frenchy, 1 no onion, whatever. And it's their own language. And you kind of deciphered it. You gave us kind of a key to that. I was like, oh, that's what that is.
I really wanted that in there. I've always been fascinated by that. For your listeners, it's like you don't order a hot dog. You just literally say, one all the way. Or like the way I order, because onions will stick with me forever. So I just say, 2 no onion. Okay. So like, what does that mean? It's literally 2 no onion is not, it's a hot dog with the roll, with the mustard, and the chili sauce. Yeah. So it's 1 all the way less the onion. But it's almost comical in the way the way that works, and so we tried to capture that through in the documentary in terms of the guys describing how that's done.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, we got Katie Krebs. I imagine you may or may not know her. Says Dave Baram is so talented, and this is a must see, which I 1,000% agree. And not only that, watching this, it's impossible not to get hungry. I have not been in the Hot Grill. And it's been a little while, and I think
you need to get back up there.
So busy, and I
want to introduce. So when you do that, let me know, because it would be great for you to meet the owners.
I would love to meet the daughters. It's definitely on my list, and it's kind of a North Jersey phenomenon. I don't know any Texas Weiner places down here where we're at. I think if you go a little north, maybe into Union, like the exit, the high 120s. Maybe the 130s.
There's that place in Union. You may be more familiar with than I am. There is a place that's at Hot Texas Weiner 1. It's like 1928 or something.
In Union?
It's in Union.
Okay.
And I got some flack for, you did not include.
Of course, you're going to get that
because the name is Hot Texas Weiner 1, but it's not deep fried.
Right.
It's grilled. So it's like that doesn't fall within what we're talking about. There was I think it was Falls View that opened in Seaside Heights back when I was still a kid or like a teenager or something. And it did not, it just, and I've talked to a few of the owners, like why, it just never has really gained traction outside of that kind of Paterson and surrounding towns. Really they're all like Paterson, Wayne, to your point, Hawthorne, Clifton.
Yep,
that's kind of the it's just a question of how far could they expand beyond the falls.
Right.
That was really the issue.
Yeah, and I think for me it may even increase the appreciation. Like I know I have to drive 40 minutes up to the Hot Grill to get a really, the best Texas Weiner in the world. And if a place opened up here, I would be skeptical. If Texas Weiner is Asbury Park, like really? But if it was good, I would be there all the time. But I think a lot of these places, most of the places you feature, they've been around for at least 30, 40, 50 plus years. So I think that contributes to possibly the flavor. Maybe you season things a little bit over that amount of time.
In some cases, these vats that they make the sauce in, the grills, they've been around that long. So I really think it's like a pizza oven. The character you build up in those. That's why like you say, 50. Until it closed this year, Libby's was. How long is 36? That's what?
1936, so
75, 80, almost 90 years. Yeah, so I mean, that's how long we're talking about.
Yeah.
it's funny when Libby's was announcing it was closing, had a bunch of folks on the crew and others like, can we save it? And we actually thought we contacted the mayor's office,
Right.
but it was we were too late. That the thing had.
Oh man, I was like, can we designate this a historical landmark?
I
And
think the city tried to save it. I think they had some fell a little behind on some tax payments and stuff.
Yeah, it's a shame. In our eyes, yeah, it's definitely a historical landmark. It's something that should be around forever. Multiple generations. Good.
Yeah, I think probably. Well, these other ones now have taken the mantle, right? Hot Grill is clearly the biggest. So when I talk about the Hot Texas Weiner at other locations, it's usually a Hot Grill that people kind of immediately go to.
Yeah, and do you have kids? Were they featured in this?
I've got not featured in it, but my 23-year-old daughter who spent her summers growing up at the Jersey Shore at Christmas up and around Paterson, and she was one of the producers.
Oh, nice.
She's a writer.
I saw some some family names on there.
Yeah.
So
her name's Wally. So people think sometimes she's good, but she's a writer, a comedian. And but so it was. To be fair, it was her. When my dad and the two guys were going on the crawl, it was her who basically said, "Look, you need to get him on camera now, or it's never going to happen." And so she, in a lot of ways, she was the straw that broke the camel's back in making this thing happen.
That's amazing. So she's a fan of the Texas Wiener.
She's a fan of the Hot Texas Wiener.
It continues.
She recently converted to being a vegan, so I'm going to see what happens on that next trip. But I'm sure she'll make an exception when she gets back out here.
Yeah, my daughter became vegetarian too, and I was like, man, what now? But I remember going into the Hot Grill a few years back, and they had a sign that says, "No, we have salads." I was like, who's getting a salad?
Exactly.
Who the heck is getting a salad?
Yeah, but you know what's funny about that is that these grills were awesome feeding the crew.
Yeah.
When we were filming, and usually I go and I get my 2 hot dogs, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna indulge, whatever. The quality of food at these places is, the meats, they're all carving daily. None of the hamburger meat is frozen.
Right.
So it even if you're not. You can go to the Hot Grill, the Golfo Grill. Tony was making his soups on them every day on a fresh basis. So they're actually more than just a hot dog joint. These places, they really take the quality of their food pretty seriously.
Yeah, God bless the Greeks. They love serving just great, high quality, hot, fresh food.
Exactly. Greeks and Italians, like I say, half the grills are Greek and half of them are Italian, which is funny.
That's amazing. Ron Roshart says enjoying the interview.
Well, it's Ron from The Crawl.
Oh, it's Ron. That's right. The Ron?
That's the Ron.
The Ron is watching this?
I guess so.
Oh, Ron, you're a celebrity.
Ron's going to have to meet you and you potential take you as a guest and a host on their next crawl.
That would be an honor. And I think you were screening Sunday in the 11:45 to 2 p.m. block. I believe here in the building. We're here at the Berkeley Hotel.
Right,
so
exactly.
I look forward to watching this with a crowd. And
thanks.
You're probably going to get definitely some new Texas Wiener fans, but I'm just glad that somebody understands me now, other than my wife and, my late father and mother-in-law and my late grandmother-in-law. But I mean, part of the thrill though is introducing people. Maybe they didn't grow up in Jersey, or you have someone coming in from out of town. I was like, oh, I got this place to take you. You've never had one of these before, and you're going to beg for one after this, and it's that discovery, or that passing the torch, I guess, or just. I've
been an ambassador for 35 years, literally. People come home from college, if they were spending maybe Thanksgiving or Christmas or Easter at my family's place, 100% they were getting a trip to Hot Texas, one of the grills.
Yeah.
People come in from LA, it's the same thing. My daughter, her friends.
Yeah.
So and next, I'd love to get one with you next time.
Oh yeah, no, that's a definite. That's a definite. I can't thank you enough for making this, and I hope everybody else enjoys it as much as I do. What are you working on now? Is there social media? Is there a website? Is there anything?
For the film? Yeah, that's right. Thanks. We've got a website, oneallthewaymovie.com.
Okay.
Probably most active on Instagram. So just I'm like horrible at social media, but it's just like at one all the way movie.
Yep. I'm following it now.
Great, thank you, which is huge. You're our biggest follower with all your followers, and then the same thing. One all the way movie. Might be One All the Way documentary on Facebook.
Okay.
And then we're going to shoot a scripted film, and my hope is I really want to continue this trend, even though I come from LA and supporting Jersey. So we're going to shoot our next film in Hoboken later this year, which will be neat. Yeah.
That's amazing. And I think we mentioned it. There's there are a lot more New Jersey hot dog stories out there. I won't be shocked if maybe next year is like, oh, you know what? I did another one. This one's on, this one focuses on maybe the Ruts Hut and maybe the Italian hot dogs, which are stuffed with fried potatoes and onions and peppers.
Right,
and
right,
they're
right.
the two places in Elizabeth who I think probably have a great story.
Really? All right, I'm going to have to learn about
well.
those.
Yeah, I think there's Tom. Is it Tom and Jerry's, or two different places? They're both very different. Been there forever.
Well, one thing I learned during this process is every region, even elsewhere in the country, has their micro delicacy.
Sure,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
So like, I don't know if you've been to Cincinnati.
Oh, sure, five-way chili, absolutely.
Or they call it, there's like on spaghetti, they call it Skyline chili.
Oh, yeah, Skyline, yeah.
I had a bunch of the people from Cincinnati. Oh, that's not as good as what we have here, and something up in Seattle.
Listen, the Skyline, their chili's good, but the little mini wieners, like with they're great. They're great, but they're no Texas wiener. Get out of here with that. I will take the Pepsi challenge with those.
All right, that's good to know. So something because I have no defense when there's been actually we're eventually going to be making our live West Coast premiere at this wonderful festival, Sebastopol, which is up.
I know it well.
And the founder of that is from, I think she has some connection because she was one of the ones like. Touting Skyline chili, which was exciting, but it was like I don't know, I haven't tried it, but I'm still going to be the advocate for the Hot Texas Weiner chili.
It's good for Ohio, so that's all I'm going to say.
No comment.
That's all I'm going to say, and I don't want Skyline or Gold Star coming after me, but you guys are great, but. I think even they would be like, whoa, this is a good hot dog. This is good chili.
Right.
For sure. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it, Ming.
One awesome. All the way. And thank you for it's just, when you meet, it's like meeting a fellow comic book fan or something like that. It's so great. So thank you. Great luck with this and all your future projects. Thanks for joining me, and thanks for being here at the Garden State Film Festival.
Absolutely. Thanks for the support. Love it.
And thank you everybody for watching. We'll see you soon.